hiding. It's being very sneaky. Let's see it. Ah, no. I didn't even have a good look at it to try to identify it, but it was one of the woodpeckers. Unfortunately, I didn't get a look, so I can't even take out the book and show you which one it was. My goodness. The flies on this road are insane. I must be this road, we need to get off it. Let's just go this way.
Yep. First exit.
First exit, away from fly heaven. Sorry guys, I'll get back to you now. I've just got a lot of chatter on the Game Drive channel in my ear. Just trying to figure out what's going on. Sorry, it's really busy at the moment, so it seems like all the game drives have come out at once, so there's about 5 different people talking. So what I'm doing is I'm just listening to the update, finding out about things like lines that might not be on our Travis area, but just listening to where they are, so if they do move towards us, I know I can get into the right position to find them. Don't seem to want to keep quiet today. Okay, here we go. So I just heard, for those of you, I know you guys like to keep up to date with some of the other lions and leopards that move through. There's a report of the Nkahuma Pride right down in the south near the Kruger National Park boundary. Not much more than I just heard. They were sleeping there near a bit of water there. So that's what I was listening to the update there, and what was their general direction. Apparently there's a big herd of buffalo in that area that was moving south, so hopefully they run south all the way to us. But we can only hope. So if they move south, they might move down towards our sort of southeastern boundary, so fingers crossed on that. So that's just what I was listening to there. Here, the Franklin, a bit further off here. So we've got Franklin's alarming on both sides of here. Chirr, chirr, chirr. just going to switch off and still alarming up ahead. Just trying to navigate our way through the bush here. Keep a very close lookout on all sides. Where those eagle eyes, Brian?
They're working, they're working.
As I said earlier, one of the reasons we came into this area, we haven't seen a Karula for a while, and we do find her quite often in this area. So here the guys were shouting. Now what were they shouting at? It's very possible it could just be a snake. And obviously in this long grass, turn off and keep quiet for a minute. What I'm going to do is listen for other animals. So the francolin are definitely upset about something. So maybe we'll try to get a squirrel or another animal to sort of give us a sort of closer pinpoint. Okay guys, just judging the fact it's only the francolins that are really upset, and I can see a couple of squirrels around, but none of them are really alarm calling, that it's possibly not a leopard, and it's probably something like a slender mongoose or a snake. And going to be finding a snake in here would be quite difficult, but it's always worth checking those things. Sorry, I got so excited there. I shot off in the middle of my recap. So we were just talking about that lion sighting we had this morning, and it was in the mist. We sort of had these grey ghosts, these lions, sort of like they were sort of ethereal lions appearing out of the mist. It was absolutely fantastic. And then what happened is that they started alarm calling. Well, impala started alarm calling probably about 50-60 meters from where we were sitting with the lions, and what happened was that Kwatile, a female leopard, had moved into that area, and the impala had spotted her and started alarm calling at her. But she was quite lucky. She spotted the lions before they spotted her, and then she quite wisely hightailed it. So we didn't get to see the best view of her. We just sort of saw her jogging and looking over her shoulder, trying to make sure the lions weren't following. And some of the sub-adult lions in that went to investigate that noise, and then started stalking the impala that had been alarming at her. And they showed a classic sort of inexperienced lion hunting. They were too fast, whatnot, and they disturbed the impala. And they disturbed the impala, and unsuccessful, but incredible. There were just impala running everywhere, lions running everywhere. So it was a really, really fantastic sighting. And then they spent a lot of time, due to the fact it was cool, playing, jumping on each other, sort of practice hunting each other. So it was a really great morning. And then we had a brief view of the same male leopard we started our drive with this afternoon, the quarantine male leopard, who's a young male of about 28 months old. And we just watched him move from where his carcass had been. He'd been feeding on an impala for about 4 days, and right next to our final control. And then he went and laid out in the spike thorn thicket, and it's the same spike thorn thicket that we found him in this afternoon. And we will go have a look again a bit later to see if he's moved out into the open or maybe gone and had a drink. I keep telling the zoomies, you better keep checking because he might pop up on that Djuma waterhole camera at any time. So you guys can be my eyes and ears on that side of the world. And guys, remember, for those of you who are new, we are completely interactive. You can ask us questions, and we are live by a few seconds. So wherever you are in the world, you are seeing exactly what I am seeing. And isn't that an absolutely amazing thing that we get to share our passion for the African bush and wildlife with you? And if you want to send me any questions, you can do that by sending an email to questions@wildearth.tv, or if you're on Twitter, you can just use the hashtag #SafariLive. And guys, don't get despondent if we don't answer your question. We do get a lot in, and we do try to answer as many as possible on Game Drive, and we really do appreciate all of those questions. Good afternoon, Megu on Twitter. Megu would like to know what is the most dangerous situation I've been in with an elephant. Sorry for those who heard the story a few days ago, but we're gonna have to tell it again. I was working in the Central African rainforest, and we were walking between our river camp and our beach camp. Two very big oil company helicopters that flew over, and they're very big. I mean, they can sit 20 people, and they make a lot of noise. So, stand by. Sorry guys, there's an update on the Game Drive channel. I just didn't catch that. I will carry on with the story now. Sorry, what was that update from Twin Downs? Copy that. So, and so the elephants tend to freak out when they hear these helicopters. So, let's go that way rather. So we're still, just to let you know before the story takes a little while, we are checking an area where we quite often do come across Karula. So, very good area. Now, right time of the day, as it gets a bit cooler, the leopards are likely to start moving, especially if they don't have four bellies. But so, we're walking, we're about halfway between the two camps, and these happen to be these two helicopters crossed at the same time. And we were actually documenting and giving that information to the national parks to try to stop the helicopters flying over that area. So what happened is, I was busy. I looked at my GPS to see the time, so I could write down what time these helicopters were flying over. And when I looked up, there was an elephant and a sub-adult in full charge coming straight towards me. I'll never know whether they had seen me and were charging me, but I personally think they just got a really big fright from the helicopters. And so she charged at me, and I pushed one of the volunteers who were working with us behind a tree. And I had my fishing rod with me because we were walking down to the beach camp. And it's in one of those hard plastic PVC cases covered in canvas. And the elephant, I realized, wasn't going to stop. So I hit it with the fishing rod. And I started poking it. And I learned a lesson, because she went flick with her trunk, and I went whoa, boom. And then she charged up, and I honestly thought that was it. I was tickets. And then I threw the fishing rod at her, and I think that saved my life. the noise of the fishing rods rattling inside the plastic, I think, was just something she wasn't used to. Put her off, and she stopped. And then as she stopped, I literally grabbed everything I could off the ground and just threw it at her. And I'm very lucky she started backing away, so I stood up and I started clapping and shouting and screaming, and she ran away. And after she ran away, and I sort of walked forward while I was shouting at her, and when I tried to stand, I sort of just collapsed. My whole hip was dislocated and bruised, and then I had to hop along to one of our camps to get help and recover. So that's definitely the most scary experience I've had with elephants or any wild animal for that matter. So you guys will notice quite often I'll turn the car off and I'll just let us drift down these slight hills in neutral, and what that's doing is that's giving me the ability to listen to the bush around me. So if there is an alarm call, even though these vehicles are very quiet, there's always more chance of being able to hear when the vehicle is off. Oh, what we got there? You see him up in the tree there? Very pretty. I'm just trying to, I think it's going to be better from a bit back. Very pretty bird. Tell me when.
Down there.
Forward?
Yeah, forward a little bit. You'll see on the screen.
There we go. So there we go. Very, very pretty bird. Is that a battalier? Can't see if it's a female or male from here. Or can we? It is a bit more difficult when they are sitting down. He's doing a bit of preening. So battalier is an eagle that's related to the snake eagles. So one of the major differences between sort of the snake eagles and the other eagles is that they have no feathers on their legs. So their legs are bare and they have very thick scales that help protect them when they do go try catch snakes. But a battalier does eat snakes from time to time, but he's also quite a useful bird to know a bit about in the bush. Very, very good eyesight, and often one of the first birds to find a carcass. So very sort of razor sharp eyesight. Looks like he's having a nice afternoon preen. Another thing that's quite interesting, their name, battalier, is French for like tightrope walker or a circus performer. Because they've got an incredibly short tail, and when they fly, with a lot of the other birds, the tail is used for stability, but a battalier doesn't have it. So with his wings out, it always looks like he's sort of balancing, and that's where they get their name from. Well, good afternoon, Diana from England. Diana says she's heard that bateleurs secrete a clear salty substance while they're liquid while they're feeding. What is the point of this? You said, but Diana, I've never actually heard that before. So I have absolutely no idea. Maybe you guys can have a look and see if you can find something for me, and you can do that. Once you do whatever you find, you can send through to me questions at WildEarthTV or use the hashtag SafariLive on Twitter. That is the wonderful thing about being in the bush. There is never a day that you don't learn something new. So what we're going to do from here, folks, is I haven't seen any tracks of male or female leopard on this road. We're going to slowly make our way down towards Twin Dams, and I feel like I haven't driven the Moati drainage for a while, so get down into that riverbed. It's still quite warm, so maybe we'll get some luck there because it's going to be a bit cooler. Good afternoon, Ashley from the UK. Ashley from the UK would like to know whether wildcats purr, the wildcats in the South Sound particularly purr like domestic cats. Your lion and leopard, not really. I've never really heard them purr properly, but cheetah on the other hand do purr, and they do purr quite a lot, and it's very similar to domestic cats, just a lot louder, being from a much bigger animal. So we're now down in the drainage line. It's still a bit warm, so quite nice and cool. So there's a good chance, or hopefully fingers crossed, that we find something happening here. And if on our left-hand track we've got two Natal Franklins running ahead of us. There's something quite special about being able to drive in these drainage lines. Temperature's a bit cooler, very peaceful and serene. I don't have to use my hands. So the sand just steers the car for me, so I can sort of sit back, relax, really concentrate on trying to spot some animals. Thanks very much, Adam from Mississippi. Adam did some research, which I asked you guys to do a while ago, about the maximum amount of tusks that have been found on the side of one elephant's face, and the maximum that he could find was 6, just on one side. So that's incredible. Thank you very much for that, Adam. Whoa. Oh, rattling testicular and nearly flew into me while they were having an argument. What was it? Looked like possibly 2 males, a territorial argument. Oh, there we go. Can you hear them? Tree, 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 tree. Oh, popping up again to the bottom there. It might pop on to open. If I go forward a bit, you might get a window there. So there we go, a little rattling testicular. Looks like they were having 2 males were having a territorial dispute, and the one nearly flew into me. I think that's the one that won, puffing himself up and preening. So in birding terms, when you've got new birders and that, they quite often call these guys LBJs, little brown jobs. So they're quite difficult to identify unless you know their calls. And the way I got taught to remember the call for this one, you heard that there. I got taught it says, kiss, kiss, run away. Kiss, kiss, run away. From the harsh heat. It's also very good from a tracking point of view because of the nice sand. It's quite easy to see when things cross as opposed to like the thick grass on the side. It's always nice to check these, it gives you an idea of the comings and goings, sort of the printed news of the bush. Good afternoon, Ashley. Again, that's for all the questions, Ashley, from the UK. Ashley would like to know, do we get big? If not, okay. Alright guys, sorry about that. That's why I stopped talking there. We were going through some a bad signal patch while we were down in that riverbed. We're up out of the riverbed now, heading due west into the sunset. But back to your question, Ashley. Oh, excuse me. Ashley's question is, do we get meerkats in the Sabi Sands? And if not, why and where would you find meerkats? Well, actually, meerkats are an arid species. They live in the dry central and western areas of South Africa, up into the northern areas as well, into Botswana. The niche that they sort of inhabit is filled by banded mongoose in this area. So they would be competing for the same set of food sources. And so in South Africa, meerkats occur sort of from just north of Johannesburg, along the whole sort of northwestern boundary with Botswana, and then onto Namibia, and then into Namibia and Botswana, and that's about the sum total of their range. And as I said, banded mongoose fill the same ecological niche that meerkats do in this area. Good evening, Denise from North Carolina. Welcome on safari with us. Denise would like to know whether I have a least favorite animal and why. Well, Denise, it would probably have to be these flies that keep landing all over me. No, but not really. I don't really have an animal that I don't really like. There's some I like less than others, obviously, but nothing that I could say, no, literally, I don't want to ever see that animal again. I enjoy seeing all the animals out here, except for these flies. So, yeah, there we go. These flies. These particular ones that are sitting on my face right now, especially.
Why?
So we checked that whole area where we quite often find Karula. No tracks. So it's possible she's still to the east of us. So what I'll do is I'm now headed back sort of further west. I mean, it's always possible we might find her here. She does pop up all over the place. But I'm going to slowly make my way towards the hyena den now that it's a bit cooler. Maybe see if there's anything happening there. And after that, we'll probably try and make our way towards the quarantine young male leopard again, because I think he is going to drink at some point. Whether he drinks at the dam or drinks at one of the puddles left over from the rain, I'm not sure, but it might be quite interesting to just have a look what he's up to a little bit later and drive. But we will check the hyena den first. Oh, I absolutely love this time of the year. The light is fantastic, the colors. Sorry, stations, my radio's been down. Can I have an update for the last 20, please? Has any station checked the Nisikai? Is any station copying me? Copy, thanks, Frank. So as expected, there's quite a lot of hyena tracks on the road as we approach the den site. And I'm hoping now it's quite nice and cool. There for the first two hours or so of drive, there's no real point in coming to a hyena den when it is hot. The adults will be sleeping under a bush somewhere, and the youngsters are quite often inside the den. But as it gets cooler now, it's a good time to check. Yeah, I see a hyena. Did I see a hyena? Yes. And the den is active. So you can see one of the youngsters there and an adult. Nisikaya is active. And there's another adult off to the side. Just going to move around so we can get a better look at the interaction going on with the youngster, the cub and the adults. There we go. And there's another one coming to inspect us very closely. This has got a bit of a swollen side of the head. It's giving us a good sniff. That's probably about 2.5 or 3 meters from us. Hello, Nisi. What do you want? Hyenas and humans have had a very interesting history together. So modern day hyenas and modern day humans came to be in their current form at about the same time, which was about lots of arguments, but between 150 and 200,000 years ago. And as long as there's been people, we are incredibly messy and wasteful animals. And so when we lived in the African savannas, the hyenas used to sort of do a lot of the trash man. They were our garbage cleaners. So one of the ways when you're looking for signs of people is to look for middens, is what we call them, which is leftover food and bones that we used to eat. So the hyenas used to scavenge from these middens. So even though they will run away from you, they're not as scared of you as say a lion is during the day. And at night, a hyena will quite often come up to you and you chase it away, and it'll run just out of sight and then come back, especially if there's food around. So, and in certain cultures, up until very recently, in Africa, especially the nomadic tribes, what they would do is when a person became too old to keep up with the movement of the rest of the tribe. They would actually leave that old person behind, and the hyenas would come and follow up, and they would remove the old person from the problem. They'll take care of it, so to speak. So not only were they the trash men, they were the undertakers. So you see there's one of the other cubs, and you can see it's busy scent marking and pasting, but their mother obviously isn't here because they're not coming out as far as they would. They might venture out because the other adults are sleeping here. But the older of the three is having a very good suckle. Oh, here comes trouble. So, venturing a little bit further and further from the mouth of the den. There we go, pasting, practice pasting using the anal gland to scent mark. And what makes hyenas incredibly difficult to sex is that the female has a pseudo penis that looks almost exactly, and in some cases is bigger than the male's penis. So it is quite difficult to sex. And they also have pseudo testes, which is their anal gland, which they use to mask, which can make them very difficult to sex, specifically when they're young. So for those of you who might have signed in late or just joining us, we're on a live African safari in Djuma Private Game Reserve, and we're sitting at a hyena den. And the most incredible thing is that everything I'm seeing, you guys are seeing all around the world. And it's our privilege to be able to share our passion for what we love with you. Now look at this curious little chap, or chapette. Also, guys, that we are interactive, and half our drives wouldn't be half as much fun if we weren't able to take questions from you, and you can do that by sending them via email to questions@WildEarthTV, or you can use the hashtag SafariLive on Twitter. Good evening, Rosie, and welcome on Drive. Rosie would like to know, is there any sign of the carcass that you guys saw eating them last night? So just for those of you not sure, we had a quick look at a drag mark today while we were on Drive, and that was a drag mark of an adult impala that had been dragged from probably about 5 kilometers from here back to the den by a hyena. We're not sure whether the hyena killed it or it stole it from a leopard, but the hyenas dragged that carcass all the way back here. And when Mark was here last night, they watched the hyenas feeding on it. So, Rosie, to answer your question, I haven't seen the carcass. Rosie wanted to know whether we could see the carcass or any remnants of the carcass. But from what chatting with Mark, there wasn't too much of it left when he was here, so I doubt there's anything left by now. For some reason, something gave that hyena youngster a fright. I think it was a false alarm. But you see the adults have now stood up and they're looking up and facing. But I was watching that hyena, and I think it's just being a bit of a nervous Nelly. Or was feeling it wasn't getting enough attention. So this is very intricate greeting we're watching here. So the female on the left is definitely subordinate to, that's why she's lifting her leg and keeping her head lower. So showing that the female, the mother of that cub, is more dominant. You can see there, very submissive behavior being shown. And even to the cub. And see how the cub's tail's got up, it's got a bit excited. Oh, and straight back down to having a sundowner. Oh, it looks like one of the... Just trying to see what's happening over there, whether one of the other cubs is going to run out after that other adult is walking off. Looks like they are, so I'm just going to move just to see what happens on that side. I don't think much is going to happen with... Oh, no, they got chased back. But as it's getting a bit darker, we're gonna leave the hyenas. And we're going to slowly make our way back towards the area where we last had a quarantine male leopard, and see if we can find him again. Maybe let's have a look what is going on the other side of the den there. I can see some movement. I'm just going to reverse back to the road that goes to the other side of the den. So guys, actually maybe, let's see what you guys feel like doing. We can spend some more time with a hyena, or would you guys like to go look for that leopard? You can send what you guys would like to do in by email to questions@WildEarthTV, or you can use the hashtag #SafariLive on Twitter. Good evening, Faye from Canada. Welcome on Drive with us. Oh, we're being stalked by one of the hyena cubs sneaking up behind us. Faye would like to know, at what age do hyenas start going out on hunting excursions with their mothers? And would they be allowed out of the den at night time? If there are adults present, they would be generally out of the den and playing or sleeping outside of the den at night. But if there weren't adults present, they would go down into the hollows, into the holes and into the caverns. The second part of your question, how old are they when they start following their mothers? I've seen them as young as 6 months, heading out on foraging forays with their mothers. Every time I ask you guys what we should do, we should go stay with the hyenas or go to the leopard, that old Clash song comes up in my head. Should I stay or should I go? Do, 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 do. Good afternoon. Grace from Texas. Grace would like to know, do hyenas get heartworms like dogs do? I'm not 100% sure, Grace. I do know they get a lot of tapeworms, they get a lot of flukes, liver flukes. They do get lots of parasites in the internal organs. I'm probably going to lean towards they probably do, but I'm not 100% sure. Okay guys, it seems like everyone wants to go find a leopard, so we're going to go see if we can find Mr. Q and see if he's moved at all or he's still sleeping under the same spike thorn thicket. Station controlling the sighting of that Malola Ingwe at Gari Dam coming. What is the vehicle lineup in that area? Copy, thanks. Confirm from where I left him this afternoon, is he still lying up at the spike thorn or has he moved closer to the mighty? Copy, thanks. Just leaving them Nisikaya still active, 3 Mantuan and 2 adults. Copy, thanks. One thing is also nice, as the sun disappears, so do the flies. And get rid of our fly swatches. So as we just left the hyena den now, we're going to slowly make our way back towards where we left the quarantine male leopard. I don't think he's moved too far at all, but he might have moved out from the thicket and might be lying out in the open areas. But I really don't think he would have gone too far. He's got a big fat belly full of impala. He's got water close by, so he doesn't. And it was quite hot today, so he didn't have a reason to move. I'm pretty sure he'll be very close to where we left him earlier in the drive. Oh, what a beautiful evening. Starting to get a little bit nippy. Starting to think about reaching for my jersey, but not quite yet. Probably guessed just under 20 degrees. maybe still above 20, maybe around 21, 22 degrees. And it's that sort of perfect time of day where the temperature is ideal. Also, the smells seem to come out more at this time of the day. You can smell a bush called a potato bush, which literally smells exactly like mashed potatoes. And the funniest thing is, if you break off a branch of it and you sniff it, you can't smell anything. But if you break off lots of, or even one branch, and you hide it in someone's room, their whole room ends up smelling like mashed potatoes. Ryan, I'm on quarantine, approaching the link down to the dam now. Copy that. It's very strong, that mashed potato smell in this area.
Delicious.
Yeah, I'm starting to get hungry. So we're very close to where we left him now. I know there's another game drive vehicle who's been with him since us. So Ryan's there, so we'll spot Ryan and we'll be able to see how far he's moved since we left him. Well, we can literally rephrase, he hasn't moved an inch, or maybe a few meters. Have a look now. So guys, just gonna try and make my way in here now. I'm just gonna have to concentrate, don't want to drive over any big stumps or anything. Or drive over the leopard. No, I'm only joking. So he has moved slightly, so from where we left him this afternoon. I think it's probably, I'll show you now what it looks like from where we left him. So we're just going to stand by and let Ryan move out, and then we'll move in closer. How's it? How you guys doing? Thanks.
You keen for tomorrow, buddy?
Oh, dude, I'm so keen. Cheers. So, you might have heard Ryan asked me there if I was keen for tomorrow. So, I've been trying to get a good game of touch rugby. I feel like I need to do some running and some exercise. And that's what he's referring to. So, we'll show you. There he is. Still very much a lazy leopard. Forward, back, there's that one little zebra wood in the way. You know where you would like me to go. Is that okay?
Hopefully he gets up and walks in.
Yep. One station with this mud daughter Ingwe on the open areas to the south and west of Kari Dam. So I'll show you now. I'm going to get Brian to pan to the exact spot where he was lying this afternoon, which is the edge of that thicket over there. So we can say he's probably moved 17 meters. So that's where he was lying when we left him. And he has moved not very far at all. One station with quarantine, south and west of Kari Dam. Now, if you drive on those open areas to the So just an update. We've been following this male leopard for solidly for about 4 or 5 days now. He killed an impala the night of all the big rain, and he put it in a tree about 60 meters from the final control, and he's been feeding on it every day, and we've actually just sort of watched that carcass disappear in front of our eyes. And then this morning it was finally finished. I think he might have dropped it and hyenas made off with what was left. So we found him walking very close to where the carcass was, and we followed him into that spikethorn thicket Brian showed you in the beginning, where we found him again this afternoon. He went right into the middle of it and lay down for a sleep. And how many hours ago? That was 9:20 this morning. So now it's the time now is, I don't know what the time is now, but 9:20. I'm guessing it's close to 6 now. So in 9 hours, he's possibly moved some total of under 20 meters. He's got a nice big full belly. He's got water close by, and there's also a lot of pools from the rain we had that night he killed the impala, and little puddles. So there's plenty of water for him around. What we are hoping is now in the next 20 minutes or 25 minutes that he will get up and head down towards the dam for a drink. But I'm going to have to be honest, judging at this current view we've got in front of us now, I think it's probably going to be a little bit longer before he heads down towards the dam to drink. He looks very, very comfortable in the nice soft grass, big fat belly.
I think a lot longer, not a little bit longer.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a while. Good evening, Olivia from Denmark. Olivia would like to know how long would it take him to digest this before he makes his next kill. Olivia, a leopard is an opportunist. If something walked up to him now, he would kill it and catch it, put it in a tree and eat it later. So even if he was completely full, he would still make a kill if the opportunity presented itself. There's nothing quite as happy as a fat leopard. And if he can have multiple kills in multiple trees, he's even a happier, fatter leopard, which is just very good. But sometimes they can struggle a little bit. I think the day before we saw him, before he caught that impala, he was really skinny. He didn't look like he hadn't eaten in a couple, 3 or 4 days. But now he's looking much happier. Rollover. And he's so fat, the rollover took quite a lot of effort. So what happens is that patch of grass he's been lying on has probably got a bit hot, so he's rolling over to the cool side. Good evening, Angela from Boston. Angela would like to know, why is this leopard lying out here in an open area? Shouldn't he be lying in the thicket or next to a tree? Isn't he very exposed and vulnerable to other predators? The main reason he's lying out in the open like this at the moment is because it's cool and he's getting a bit more of a breeze. If he was under a bush or a tree, there would still be a bit of remnant warmth from the day there. So it's cool. And even though it looks like he's very vulnerable and fast asleep, his hearing is acute. And if there was a lion or anything walking through the grass, he would almost certainly hear it before the lion came upon him. Not always, but most of the time. And he would be fast enough to get to a bush or a tree, or to a tree where he could escape from, if he heard the lions from far enough away. Good evening, David from Arizona. David would like to know whether it's true that if leopards will also scavenge and steal kills from hyenas or single hyenas, cheetahs, and other smaller carnivores. Most definitely, David. And probably the thing they steal, specifically the male leopards, they probably steal the most kills from other leopards. So a big male leopard will happily steal the female that's within his territory's kill, or one of these young males that might possibly be his son. He would definitely steal their kill. These guys would steal kills from their mother. So yeah, they do scavenge. When we first actually found that kill up in the tree, there was a bit of confusion to whether it was the quarantine male, Djuma, which is his brother. No one had actually seen the leopard, but they found the kill, and they had seen his brother probably about 100 meters from where we're sitting now, eating a steenbok. So I think people might have jumped into conclusions and thought it was his brother, but it turned out to be quarantine. Although we can never be certain that Djuma didn't kill it and he did chase him. But I don't know, my personal reading on both animals is that I don't think quarantine would steal from Djuma just yet. I think Djuma might have an upper hand just because he is a bit more aggressive in nature when it comes to that. It'd be very, very interesting for see them both together on a kill and see who is actually the more dominant of the two. Sorry guys, I'm not sure what happened there. We disappeared for a second. So as I was explaining, that I personally think that between the two brothers, I think Djuma might have the upper hand at the moment just because he's slightly more aggressive, even though Quarantine looks to be a bit bigger in the head and shoulders. But that's my personal opinion, and the only way we would really know is to see them both at a kill and see who is the more dominant of the two. To give you an idea how close the lodge is, I'm going to ask Brian to just pan up a little bit. So we are actually sitting within eye shot of Djuma, or Djuma's Vuyatela Lodge. And we'll see the lights in the distance now. There we go, that's the lodge. And our final controls to the left of that, which is actually closer to where we are now. No, it's hidden by the trees. Amazing, listen to the evening chorus of birds. I'm just trying to listen carefully now and see how many different bird species I can hear. Why don't you guys do the same? See how many different bird species you can hear for the next minute. Good evening, Jonathan from the Netherlands. Jonathan was saying he didn't see any vultures around the kill. Do we not have any vultures in the Sabi Sands? We do, but vultures generally don't tend to see leopard kills that often because they're up in the trees. They are obscured by the leaves above. So that's why we didn't see any vultures around the kill. Standing by. AFM, flat cat. I'm the only station here. You're more than welcome. Well, how are those eyes? Copy, Cobus. You'll be first standby. Cobus, what is your position? Copy, just let me know. I'm pretty sure it won't be a problem. We'll make space for you. Well done, Elaine in Massachusetts. We could hear actually two different species of francolin calling, Natal and crested francolin. I got 7 or 8 species of birds that I could hear. Fork-tailed drongo, so I had crested francolin, Natal francolin, fork-tailed drongo, black-crowned chagra. I'm trying to think now, I've forgotten some of them. There was it sounded like a Birchall starling, and I could hear a lapwing down at the dam, and then I think the last one was rattling testicular. So I got 7. Obviously a bit easier for me, but yeah, the Franklins are sort of the loudest at that evening chorus and in the dawn chorus. Just like to make a lot of noise. Let everyone know where they are. So just a quick update on what we've seen today. This morning we're very lucky to watch a large pride of lions playing and chasing each other in the mist in the early morning. They also chased some impala, and a female leopard almost walked into them, but she managed to spot them beforehand and move out of the area. And then we found this young male leopard after he had finished his kill, and his kill was right next to our final control, and he's now moved from there probably about 300 meters away, and he's lying up in the grass enjoying the cool of the evening, just busy digesting impala. This afternoon we were lucky enough to see quite an unusual sighting. It looks like an elephant that's got 2 tusks on the one side, so she's got 3 tusks in total. So that'll be quite interesting. I'm quite excited to look at those photos, and I will post something up on Instagram and Facebook and that once I've had a proper look to see exactly what's going on there. And then we went and checked the sort of eastern area of Djuma, looking for any tracks of Karula. We didn't have any luck, so we then headed down and decided to go have a look at the hyena den, and we saw a couple of cubs and 2 adults. I think we just came back to check what was happening with this young male and say he hasn't moved since in 9 hours since we left him. Not 9 hours, it is actually, yeah, it's about 8 hours. 9 hours since we left him this morning. He's probably moved a sum total of 15-20 meters at most, and it doesn't look like he's going to be moving anytime soon, but I'm quite sure he will move during the night at some point. Corbett's coming. Corbett, you can make your way straight to this position. Copy, no problem. So you'll hear me talking to the other vehicles, and it's very important for us to maintain a very good relationship with them, because we all help each other find animals at the end of the day. So we all try to help each other out. There could so He's not even moving. He's a very flat cat. The only movement is his belly. So you can see, very relaxed, out in the open, completely relaxed. I thoroughly enjoyed all the questions you guys sent in today, and for myself and the whole team here, it's been a really wonderful afternoon and a fantastic morning, and I'm attacked by a large bug, but you know, us African boys, we just keep going, soldier through, and it is a very lucky and privileged. Sorry, I'm getting tongued up. We're very privileged to be able to share our passion and our love for the bush with you. So until tomorrow morning, have a fantastic evening or day wherever you are, and hopefully we see you in the morning.